Hi again, I'm Josh Jostes from Maroa-Forsyth High School, and you can get my contact information from Chapter 1. Should have been either the second or third slide. I'm now up to Chapter 4, and we're going to talk to you about the footwork and the timing. I promise there's video coming, but the slides, I've got it set up where all the video is going to be at the end. So, Chapter 4, footwork and timing. First one I want to talk about is our bubble screen. I think I've been very clear on this, but I want to show you. Bubble, first off, for our receivers are going to be the slot kids. They're going to open up and give a whole target. May backpedal, and I'm going to explain it to you one more time for those of you that have missed it. So if I'm our slot receiver right now and I've got my outside foot back and my quarterback is off to my right, when I run this, we used to run it where we would open up and show here, and that was his target. So if he threw a bad ball, I probably was not going to catch it. Ideally, if you were playing with Tom Brady all the time, you're going to teach it just like I showed you because he's not going to miss. He's aim small, miss small, so if you said throw it here, he's going to throw it there. However, I don't have Tom Brady. So what I do is we teach our kids to open up in a full back pedal. They bend over like they're boxing out. They show their hands. Our quarterback's still aiming front side shoulder, but what we consider is now an 8-foot window to throw the ball into, we complete those at over 80%. It actually, the total ended up being 82% of the time we're going to complete our bubble. So if you're the old school, I don't pass the ball kind of guy, this is your kind of pass play because you are going to complete it if you teach it the way we do, which is open up, give your whole body as your target, and that is why we say backpedal. If you've got a kid that you really trust, can aim small, miss small, hit front shoulder, you can gain a few more yards by hitting him in his momentum. We still teach that to throw at that shoulder, but this gives us a much higher chance to complete, and that's what it's all about for us, is get a completion, get the ball outside the hashes, let our playmakers do work. So that's the why we teach it that way. Our quick screen, so our split end, we are going to line up, again, it's outside foot back, so now I'm our right side split end, my quarterback's off to the left, he's going to fire off. When we take off, he's going to fire off. So his right foot's going to fire out, his left foot's going to fire out, and then he stops and he retraces that. So to get a little more room, he's going to fire, then he comes backwards, and he is headed towards our quarterback. We want him to catch the ball on the move, okay? We want him to catch the ball on the move, but he does not continue in the direction towards the quarterback. So we want to, just your old school, meet your pass so that it gets in his hands faster. Like in any other sport you play, we're saying meet the pass, meet the pass. This is meet the pass, but when he catches it, we have the slot receiver, or maybe two slot receivers that have the most dangerous man. And why I say two slot receivers, if we are a 3-by-1. So let's backtrack a little bit and say we're in a 2-by-2 set. My slot receiver to that quick screen side knows that he has the most dangerous man. If he has a corner within 5 yards of the split end, he knows that becomes the most dangerous man. So if they're in cover 2, that's the most dangerous man. If they're in cover 3, it may not be the most dangerous man. When we don't see teams play us a lot of cover 3 because we pick that apart, but if teams did play us in cover 3 still, we made our living on this, is that now you've got that corner that's 7 or 8 yards deep and he's backpedal as soon as he hears the snap, then that's the kid that we are not going to block. So he becomes the second most dangerous man. So let's say you're an old school 4-by-4 cover 3, and you've got a corner that's sitting 7 yards off or more, and he's backpedaling as soon as the snap because he knows his job is don't get beat deep. We're not going to block that kid. Even though we're throwing to his man, we're not going to block to him. And I'll show you that we are actually going to block, but we're going to block him late. So the slot receiver would now be blocking the head-up outside linebacker because that is the most dangerous man. So slot receivers understand, my job, block the most dangerous man. We have to spend a lot of time in summer camp teaching them what the most dangerous man is. I just told you my cover 3 scenario, we're going to be blocking an outside linebacker. Cover 2 scenario, we're going to be blocking a corner. They have to understand that. If I run it to a 3 receiver side, if you're a slot receiver, the rule didn't change. You are blocking most dangerous man. So now I've got 2 slots over there, and they have to pick how the 2 most dangerous men are over there, because my rule is most dangerous man. We also release our tackles to block the 2nd most dangerous man. So when I just told you, let's go back to my cover 3 scenario. Cover 3, we're going to block most dangerous man with our slot, so that's going to be the outside linebacker. That means that corner that's sitting over there soft and in immediate backpedal, he will be blocked by our tackle. So that tells you a little bit about philosophy at Maroa-Forsyth. My 2 tackles this year, one was 5'11", 204. The other one was 6'1", 190. Those are our most athletic linemen. They are not the biggest. So you are not going to watch us have NFL tackles headed anywhere on a Sunday, because those kids will not play tackle for us. Our big kids are our guards and our center. Our athletes, our kids that probably should be playing tight end, except they can't really catch, those are our tackles. Our fullbacks, those are our tackles. And we've had countless of them that are somewhere between 5'9" and 180 pounds and 6'4" and 215 pounds. And we're putting athletes that can get out and run in space. This is just one of the reasons why we do that. But I think that is unique to Maroa-Forsyth, in that we put our athletes at tackle and our big kids at guard. And I could go on and talk to you about that, and be happy to if any of you want to reach out and get the rest of my philosophy. But the biggest part of that is I just gave you that philosophy. The other one is we run a ton of jet sweep and a ton of edge plays. My tackles have to be able to beat your defensive ends off the ball and get your shoulders turned. And so we need athletes, not size, to be able to do that. So there's how the blocking works. So that's footwork and timing for us. So our quick screen is going to be 2 steps up the field, retrace at 3, come meet the pass. After you get the ball in the hand, it almost always works out that the play hits back outside, because as I just told you, we're blocking most dangerous man and 2nd most dangerous man. Who's blocking middle linebackers that are screaming? No one. So we don't want to go in there where the big guys roam. So we tell them all, catch it and get back outside and get what we can get. As I told you in our quick screen earlier, our quick screen, 32 of 36, completed 88% of them, 246 yards. No touchdowns this year off of it. A lot of them set up very short touchdowns, but no touchdowns. Again, it's a pass that we're going to complete. We're going to get the ball to our athlete in space. We're going to get him outside the hashes, and we're going to allow our athlete to, if he can beat one of your guys, get to the house. It's not the same thing when I'm running trap and we're running it inside, and I'm going to tell my tailback, you always make the first one miss. Well, that's great, except there's a 2nd and a 3rd and a 4th player there as safeties start rolling down into the box. But on these quick screens, if we can make one miss, we feel like we can take it to the house. So that's how our quick screen goes. And now my tunnel screen. And this one truly does hit in a tunnel back across the middle of the field. So footwork for the receivers is no different at all in the quick screen and the tunnel screen. 2 steps up the field, retrace 3 backwards, but this time you will now continue through the tunnel. Here's how we block our tunnel. I know I'm not talking about blocking yet, but we will literally be releasing all 5 linemen like a glove, and they will be headed. So if the tunnel's to the right, that's what they will look like when they're blocking. If the tunnel was to the left, that's what they would look like when they're blocking. And we literally make our linemen hold up their hands when we're installing this in camp and saying, this is what you're going to look like right, this is what you're going to look like going left. And all their rule is we punch and then we go. And I'll talk to you more about line blocking, but you have to kind of understand that. So as we fan out to our right and we're running tunnel screen to our right, this is almost always going to hit back to the middle to maybe all the way over to the left hash down the field. and it has been a great play for us. Stats didn't bear it out as much this year as it has in the past, but for us, 26 for 42, so this was our most popular screen, 382 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Only completed at 61% of the time. After I put this presentation together, I guarantee my young quarterback is going to learn more about getting this one completed, because we've got to get that completing 80% of our passes in our screen game. But it has been an explosive play for us. I know over the last, we've installed this about 4 years ago, and it has become my favorite screen to call, and it has our most big play potential. I would say that of those 4 touchdowns, I bet we had maybe 2 or 3 that were called back. With so many linemen getting down the field, you got to make sure you get it thrown behind the line of scrimmage, obviously, and that's why we say up 2, back 3. And then I will tell you, you do get that opportunity for the blocks in the back. I guarantee you we had more yardage on this play than any of my other screens, especially if I could have excluded penalty yardage. I know, so you're going to want to learn what do I have to do to that. Most of the time is what our linemen are being is overly aggressive. When we see the kids' numbers, just let our receiver in space make a play in the tunnel. Don't think you have to get a perfect block, because these kids are chasing and we got linemen chasing them, and it does expose a lot of numbers. Our kids have to do a better job of letting off of that. When we see your rear numbers, we got to let off of that. And I think we've been very good at tunnel screen, but I will say this is probably the worst, but I don't even have the evidence to back that up until I've seen it. So. And then footwork continued there on this will be our quarterback's footwork. So I just told you what I wanted receivers to do. The most important part of any of this is quarterback footwork. Our quarterback right now, our quarterback's coach is named Kyle Tutt. He won a state championship when he was in high school and went on and played some college ball. Does an outstanding job for us. My previous quarterback coach before, I used to do it when I started out, and then I had a gentleman named John Hockaday, one of the best that I've ever been around. He had 3 boys that played for me. Jack is the youngest one, and he's currently competing at middle linebacker, sits behind Josie Jewell at the University of Iowa, and hopes to get his 2 cracks after Josie heads to the NFL. And so Jack went to the University of Iowa, and Luke, the oldest brother, went to Eastern Illinois University to play quarterback there under Coach Spoo. And then the youngest one, Joe Hockaday, ended up at Ole Miss down there as just a student. Very blessed to have that family come through our district, and John was not only an outstanding person but an outstanding quarterbacks coach, and I got 3 great players out of that, and a lot of this stuff and the footwork that is involved has been with us now for about 15 years. So our quarterback footwork, bubble screen and quick screen are the exact same thing. I talked to you already. This is just going to be the difference in is the split end getting the ball or is the slot receiver getting the ball. Our job as quarterbacks is going to be catch it and throw it as fast as you possibly can. If we have a kid that has to have laces to throw, he will not play quarterback at Maroa-Forsyth. All right? My son doesn't even grab the laces when we are throwing downfield just because he's got it beat into his head so much that you don't need laces to be able to throw a football. My quarterback now, my sophomore quarterback, he does still like the laces, and you'll see him messing with it, but in screen game we only required in screen game to get it out, and our quick game, we don't care if you have laces. The rest of them, if you want to jack around as you drop back, get it in the hole of the laces, you're welcome to. So catch it and throw it, get it out as fast as possible. We teach that similar to a second baseman or a shortstop. You know, it's just going to be quick, pivot, throw, get your feet, get them underneath you. Arm's going to be off to your side. We're going to make quick pop to the hip, and we're going to transfer our weight. So for us, if we were throwing screen left, it's boom, boom, throw. So all you're going to have is that tap, tap, throw. Don't care about laces. Get it out of your hand as far as you can, quick as you can. We want to aim at the upside shoulder. Our kids hear me say all the time, aim small, miss small. If you've ever seen the movie The Patriot with Mel Gibson, a great line on in there, but he tells them, remember what I taught you, boys, and it's aim small, miss small. And our kids have not only seen that movie clip about 1,000,000 times when we install this, it also is Mel Gibson saying aim small, miss small. And what we're telling them is, if I'm aiming here at your heart, and that's what we say, hit me in the heart all the time. If I'm aiming at your heart, when I go to throw that football, even if I miss by a half a football, it's still a really good throw. Or if I miss by a half a football, but we don't want to just say complete the ball and you've got a bubble screen thrown up here when we want it delivered over here and aim at the heart. So that's what we're talking about there. Our tunnel screen also is not any different for the quarterback's fundamentals, but you will see when we show it on film, it's all about head and eyes for us. We spend a lot of time with our quarterbacks teaching them to look one way, throw the other. Look people off, throw to the open spots. Lots of people do it. Lots of high school quarterbacks, though, stare down where they're going to throw and then they throw it there. If we play those teams that are teaching their safety to watch our eyes, tunnel screen will be a big play for us, because we're almost always going to fake the screen one way and throw the tunnel back the other way. We're going to fake a run going to the left, throw the tunnel back to the right. For example, I can be running our stretch play to my left, then turn and pop my hips and throw the tunnel back in behind it. We do a ton of play action off of all of our screen game. Obviously, it doesn't get out as quick, so I'm not throwing as many of the quick screens. I'm never going to throw those. The bubble screens, I will, but those are pre-snap reads, so it looks great, but we knew we were throwing it before. So even though we're faking a run and linemen are blocking a run, we knew we were throwing it because we had numbers. This tunnel screen, we are truly play actioning one way and going to throw it back the other way. And you're going to see plenty of video that shows it. So slow screen, I talked to you about it a little bit earlier and about how that blocking was going to go, but you're going to catch and use your eyes to hold your safety. So when I get that and we're running the running back slow screen, I'm going to have my eyes and I'm going to manipulate that safety with my eyes. So if I want to throw our slow screen to the running back on the right, I'm going to have dropped back, I'm going to look left, I'm going to move my safety left, and then I'm going to be ready to drop back over here to my right. So the way that works for us, because we're a gun team, it's going to be our drop, so it's 1,001, 1,002. Then the pass rush comes, so then I'm 1,001, 1,002, and I go with an extra high release. I'm throwing it off my back foot, and you'll see film. As I told you in the semifinal game this year, it's not always perfect. My quarterback hit a defensive lineman in stride for a touchdown. So not always what we want. Swing screen, and again, this is talking to you about look at opposite to hold a linebacker and then transfer the weight to drive a football. So that swing screen that we talked about is where I'm throwing the bubble screen out to my running back. We call it swing screen, but essentially it's just the bubble. What the difference is on it is we are always going to look it off. So we will look away from where we're throwing and then throw it back to him. It's just a timing issue for us. That is the timing of how we install our screen game. I did want to show you an example. Again, this is kind of just things that I've taken from my Champions Manual. But to give you an idea about our kids, the redheaded kid with the most hair off to your right side of that picture was Logan Alsop. I told you it was our all-time leading receiver, also middle linebacker. The kid there in the middle is a tackle for us, and the kid there off to the left is a tackle for us. And you can see, drenched in sweat, good-sized kids, lived in the weight room, did all that, but you're about 5'11", 180 on the left, you're about 5'11", 200 in the middle, and then the bigger of the two, about 6'2", 220, is the actual Y in our offense, or the tight end H-back kind of kid. But you can see they look pretty lathered up, and this is going to be sometime early in the season at a practice. And those are the kids we build into football players, and we give them a purpose. We hopefully were able to teach them a little something about putting things in front of their own goals. And any one of those kids, the reason I show that picture, any one of those kids could have been the guy getting the ball, and the other two could have been the guy that had to block. And in our offense, I think the beautiful thing about it is we really have some unselfish kids. I have no idea how many linemen I have had that end up being starters for us that come into high school of dreams of having the football. And the reality is we have one football. So that's what it is, and that's why I love this picture that I had somebody take for me. So, all right, we're ready to talk about Chapter 5 and line and receiver blocking rules and timing. I've kind of hit this as the presentation was going on, so now I just want to review, and I know I keep promising video, but that's the highlight of the whole project. So up first will be the bubble and the quick screens. So I already told you the receiver's rule is he is going to block the most dangerous. So it doesn't matter. Let's say, for example, I'm running the bubble screen. The split ends rule is block the most dangerous player. So if you went back and you were talking about your cover 3 look out of a 4-4 cover 3, my split end would be coming down to crack on your outside linebacker. We would leave that corner that is going to be soft and deep will be where our tackle is motoring up through and to. And we are going to backpedal away from that outside linebacker and continue into our backpedal with a full open surface with an 8-foot radius for our quarterback to be able to throw. And that play is going to ideally hit between the tackle's block out on number 1 and the crack block by our receiver. We're going to try and outrun middle linebackers that are trying to aggressively pursue that. Okay? Tackles always know their job is second most dangerous. So if it was a 3-by-1 set, we would have had a couple down blocks and the tackle moving all the way out to number 1. But sometimes it's a cover 2, and so now we've got a cover 2. So the rule didn't change. Receiver blocks most dangerous, so the split end blocks the head up cover 2 corner. We are going to have a safety sitting over the top of our slot receiver. And most teams against us are going to play that outside backer as an overhang player, so he kind of needs to be in the box because we're a pretty good running team. But he also knows that he's got to get out and play the screen. We set these scenarios up countless times in the summer and all the time at practice for a 10-minute session so that our kids learn how they're going to determine who the most dangerous is. They have to be able to communicate. And that tackle always has the block of the least dangerous person. Doesn't matter if it's in 2-by-2 or a 3-by-1 set. Tackles, you see the rule, most dangerous, the key to it all, they've got to get a ton of reps and they got to get a ton of looks. We got to be able to block it against a 3-3 stack. We got to be able to block it against a 4-3. We see mostly 4-3 teams, by the way. 4-1 in the box, a couple of overhang players trying to do a little bit of both. We see very few cover 3 anymore. But we will go through all of those scenarios and we rep the heck out of them all summer long when we're doing our installs and we're doing camp so that it just becomes natural for our kids to be able to block this. And I note a couple things you can do. You can motion into the most dangerous, and the tackles can release up and out versus good ends. So the first thing I'm going to say is, let's say I want to run the quick screen to my right. I can line up in a 3-by-1 set. I can motion my Y all the way across to give him a full speed block to go block most dangerous number 1 corner out there. A lot of teams will try and lock us when we have single receiver sides. I'm a big 3-by-1 guy. So we'll motion across, still get a great block out there, and then our tackle would know that he is going to be releasing to the second most dangerous man. That's a little tip that you can do to change up the blocking assignment, but the rules don't change, so it's easy for the kids. I would also tell you that by releasing your tackles outside, you will play some good coaches that will tell their defensive ends to go with him. And if you play that stud athletic defensive end kid and he's chasing behind your tackle, he's right in position with nobody able to account for him in the blocking scheme. And we'll play some stud defensive ends. In our league in the Sangamo, we play a ton of stud defensive ends. Played some stud defensive ends and all-stater in the state championship game. We have all kinds of stuff that we try and do, and we thought we really neutralized the all-state defensive end that we saw in the state championship game had 3 tackles. So we're going to do all sorts of stuff to make him think instead of have to play. So one of the things that we do, if you're a good end and you want to chase us, we will call lead, just your old quarterback lead, except we will release the tackle out. We'll let you go chase him. And now our guard blocks your 3 technique, and my running back is going to go block your middle linebacker, your Mike, and I'm going to run quarterback lead, and we don't even have to whip your stud defensive end because he left the box chasing our tackle out there for no reason. That's been very successful. Some of them try and read it, but they only read the initial, so we run so much down block with our tackles that when we release inside, good coaches, and we play so many of those, again, in the Sangamo, they teach their kids to get hands-on and cave down just like you all do. So you get hands on me and you cave down, so we'll release inside like we're going on a down block, and then as soon as we rip through you and clear, we're immediately, like if I'm the right tackle, going to put my left foot in the ground, and I'm headed out now at 90 degrees to the right. You've read down block, so you are nowhere near making the play out on the edge. And what we found is, even though our tackles are now going to be a step late getting out there, they still do get there, and we have sold you to not get your stud defensive ends out and involved. So those are 2 tips that you're going to need to be able to do. Or 3 tips actually. 1, to motion into the screens, and then 2, different things you can do with your tackle to take advantage of teams that want to chase you. We find that most teams don't consider chasing us after they've played us more than once. A lot of teams will come into it, like in the playoffs, they'll be teaching their kids, and by the end of the game, they're no longer chasing out there because we feel like we have some built-in tricks to get that. So that's going to be line and receiver blocking, rules and timing, and it's really pretty simple. I just gave you every rule that you need. It's more about reps. Those kids have to get out there and see those reps and see the different looks. You know what defenses teams are going to play against you. I mean, we've seen everything that you could draw up over 18 years, and we feel like we have an answer in screen game for all of them. The toughest one, the best way to defend us and stop it is this. And I'm going to give you this pointer. It needs to be about 20 degrees, really windy, and also allow you to walk all of your players up and lock. Then screen game goes out the window. But so does everything else when it's 20 degrees and it's really windy and we can't throw. The only times we have been unsuccessful in running our screen game are when the weather took us out of it and you still had athletes enough that you could lock us. For example, that semifinal game I just told you about, though, we completed 7 of 12 passes, 168 yards, and 2 touchdowns in the worst possible conditions you could possibly play on. 5 of his completions were on a tunnel screen, a quick screen, 3 shuffle passes, and then they felt like we weren't going to do those, and so we throw the home runs off of those, the fake screens that both went where we faked our bubble and our split ends take off, and he beats the kid for touchdowns both times, one from 39 out and the other one from 81 out, and they are the gimmicks off of that. That was the team that was willing to try and press us because they thought the weather was taking that part out. You fake the screen, you hit the home run, and that's what wins us the game, 25-16. And now I'm finally ready to get you up on video, and this is going to start us off with the bubble screens. And this again, was our most popular as far as the most yards. We ran 34 of these. I don't have them on here, but I show you a ton of film because I'm going to be able to point out to you, and I'm also going to draw around on the screen a little bit. I actually pulled all my notes out so that I could show you as we were going on this presentation, as I thought it was going to be better.